It's a really interesting day for us to get a load of information about the Cup in 2021 and to understand more about the race course, the length of the races, and regattas, upcoming regattas for the next couple of years in a World Series. And that's important for us strategically to try and make those key decisions on the design of the boat. You know, what are we designing a boat for? What sort of conditions? What's the length of the course, and so on. And so we can go away now and be able to put some of those key decisions to bed and know a lot more about what we're up against. Yeah, the America's Cup always is. I know a lot of people focus on that in the Q&A earlier about, you know, two and a half, 3 years sounds like a long time, but in reality, you know, we're fully in the race now. We've got to finalise the design for our first race boats in the very near future, certainly for the hull lines anyway. And then you get through that design, build that, and then you're into race boat 2. And of course, there's loads of components and foil design and sail design that goes on alongside all of that. But it's a really hectic pace that we're already in, and so information like we get today is vital for us, and we'll continually be pushing for that as we go through. You know, the Challenger record, Rossa, the Defender, Team New Zealand, they're really writing the script for this event, and we've got to try and keep pace with them and adjust our program, adjust our strategy as we get that key information. I can possibly tell you, but we've got to race the second half of next year. We expect sort of September time in most probably in Italy, and so you know we'll be looking to launch a boat sometime in the summer here in the UK, put it through its commissioning, and then most probably be shipping it to somewhere in the Mediterranean. So that's what we're working around at the moment. But yeah, this is the America's Cup, so that may well change. Yeah, we've been out in our 28-foot T5, as we call it, test boat, and that's been really invaluable for us to get out in this new concept of boat, see how it performs, both from a sailing perspective, but probably more importantly for the designers to see how the boat performs, to be able to feed back to our design programs, our simulation programs. And yeah, like I said, it's been a lot of fun and really an invaluable tool, and we'll take that into the design of Race Boat 1. Well, it's just like a big dinghy, really, and you know, for those that don't know, this new design of America's Cup boat, it doesn't have a keel or any real form of stability other than the hull itself, and so this is actually quite a narrow hull boat we bought. It's a stock boat we bought from Lake Le Mans in Switzerland, and so yeah, when we slow down or we lose control of the foils, then inevitably we seem to end up swimming around. So thankfully we purchased some dry suits at the beginning of the summer, and they've been very useful. It's a really fast boat. It's really dynamic. It's like I say, it's a lot of fun to sail. I've really enjoyed testing it this summer. We've had some big crashes. Thankfully, nothing too serious. Doing that in the 75-footer would be a lot more serious with 11 crew on board and all the extra power and so on. So that's something I think all the teams will be thinking about. You know, the safety of these boats. How do we sail them? How do we avoid some of these big wipeouts? We've got a bit of time to work that out. Well, I think we are for first time in modern history of the America's Cup, we're the first British team to actually continue. So, you know, traditionally we all know winning the America's Cup at the first attempt is incredibly hard. You know, the only team that pulled that off were Ernesto Bertarelli with a Linghi and bringing Russell Coots, Brad Butterworth and the guys across from Team New Zealand. And, you know, we haven't done that in the UK before. We now are a second generation team, so all of that learning, as frustrating as it may have been for us and for people supporting the team in Bermuda, huge amount of learning from that and some tough decisions that we've made on the back of that, which have put us in a really strong position now. You know, we're up against incredibly tough competition, but I really feel like the team is in a strong place. We've got fantastic backing from Jim Ratcliffe and from INEOS, so we've got a committed budget we can set a strategy around. I bring in Grant Simmer and Nick Holroyd, some of these key guys with huge experience in the America's Cup, and you know, they're sticking with roughly 75% of the original team. I think, you know, we've got the bit between our teeth now. We're determined to set things straight from Bermuda and ultimately to get that America's Cup back home. It's a very different funding model. You know, last time we were a commercial team and we had a lot of private investors who were, you know, fantastic and really did us proud in terms of committing to the team and getting us to Bermuda. But where the budget has gone with this next campaign, having to build two 75-footers, it just, to my mind, it wasn't sustainable commercially to do that. And so we had to find different options for funding. I was introduced to Jim by a mutual friend and we got on really well, and he understood the challenges and was up for it ultimately. and wanted to, from a sporting perspective, wanted to win the cup, and being a proud Brit and following our maritime and sporting history, and so we have a shared vision on that. And yeah, there's much less pull on my time personally. I'm much more focused on the sporting element than I was in the last campaign, and hopefully that can help myself, but it's not just me. It's the America's Cup is the ultimate team game. We're going to have close to 100 people by the time we go down to New Zealand, and everyone there now is completely focused on that goal of trying to be the best team, trying to win the cup, and we don't have any distractions, and that's a good thing. Yeah, but I mean, for sure, it's the toughest thing I've gone through in my professional career, and coming away from that, after probably a couple of weeks of sort of digging my head in the sand and wanting everything to disappear. You have to learn from that and turn it around, and there's no better motivation than disappointment, defeat, to set things straight. And the most important thing though is not trying to let the emotions override it, is actually just to reflect on it objectively and say, look, this is what happened, this is what we did well, what we didn't do well, what are the learning points. And we spent the last 18 months really trying to set that straight and get the team in a better position. And I'm really pleased with the work that we've done. Restructuring the team, getting out on the water with the test boat, and it feels like over in Portsmouth we've got a really good group of people. They're all working incredibly hard with the same goal, and we've just got to now make the right decisions, try and execute those, and get our heads down and get on with it. I half joke. No, it was, for me, it was a great experience being there. I was a youngster. I was at Team New Zealand, working with Grant. Actually, Terry was there, Dean Barker was there, but certainly working for Grant was a great learning experience. There's a unique style about him, and that was, like I said, it was a good learning experience for me, being with a professional outfit such as Team New Zealand, and that certainly helped me in my Olympic career and also in my America's Cup career as well. So I'm grateful for that, but not too grateful, because you want to beat them now. Well, it's the continuity, as we talked about earlier. We haven't had a British team that's gone for more than one cycle, certainly in the last 30 years, as far as I know, in modern history of the America's Cup. New Zealand had been in this game since 1987, constantly been in the America's Cup. And so whilst the people may change, that knowledge, that skill set just keeps building and building. Pete Burling talked about it earlier. He was watching Team New Zealand win in 95 and 2000 with Rossa and Brad Butterworth, and that's continued on, and now he's taken over the reins. And that's what you need. You need the continuity, learning those lessons, refining your team, your organisation, and hopefully we can create that now in the UK. And hopefully in 20 years' time, it's someone else talking to you or talking to the media that is a continuation of this team, and we have got the America's Cup in that period. We will hope to have got the America's Cup back to where it belongs, where it started. Well, it's twofold. You still need to try and refine that simulation. If you're not comparing it to anything real, it's only ever simulation. You can say, well, with that, it's that accurate, we're backing it, and New Zealand certainly were leading the way on the simulation in the last Cup, and many people would agree. I think that's a big reason why they had a jump on the fleet. So for the rest of us, there's still an element of catching up on that front, but you still have to put that into practice in real time, and so that helps us a little bit with our test boat from a sailing perspective, being out there, understanding the concept of the boat, how it works, how it performs, how it manoeuvres, what's important, and also for our shore team as well, to be able to, even though they're much smaller scale, to be able to use these foils to operate them, to get our systems developing. That's no small part of this, the system development to control the boat. So that, I think we've certainly taken a different view to our test boats, a very basic stock boat that we bought the hull from Lake Le Mans in Switzerland, gutted it and just bolted bits and pieces onto it. It's relatively fast and inexpensive, and it's been a great tool for us. For sure, I mean, all of the teams have been out there watching us. There's no reconnaissance rules, so there's nothing we can do about that. But, for sure, the learning is for us is first-hand, and we'll make developments from that and use that. And the others, to a certain extent, are still guessing what we've learned, what we're up to, and what's coming next.